The alien queen died protecting him and left the universe in his hands. The dying light, the ventilation shafts of Station Nexus 7 weren't meant for humans, but Zara Vex had never been particularly concerned with what things were meant for. At 14, she was small enough to navigate the narrow ducts that threaded through the station's industrial levels, and desperate enough to ignore the scalding steam that occasionally hissed from broken pipes. Today's prize, a sealed container of protein rations, pressed against her ribs as she crawled through the suffocating darkness. The duct opened into an abandoned cargo bay 3 levels below the main thoroughfares. Zara dropped through the grate with practiced silence, her bare feet barely whispering against the corroded metal floor. Emergency lighting cast everything in sickly amber, and the air tasted of rust and recycled oxygen that had been recycled. Too many times. She'd claimed this space months ago after the previous owner, a paranoid freight handler named Jorik, had been arrested for smuggling contraband neural chips. His personal effects still littered the corners, a broken holo display, scattered playing cards, and a sleeping mat that smelled vaguely of synthetic alcohol. It wasn't much, but it was hers. Zara settled onto the mat and cracked open the protein container, savoring the first real meal she'd had in 3 days. The paste inside tasted like salted cardboard, but her stomach didn't care about flavor. She was halfway through her feast when the shadows moved. A figure emerged from behind a stack of derelict cargo containers, tall, impossibly graceful, and clearly not human. The stranger moved without sound, her form draped in flowing robes that seemed to absorb the dim light. Her skin held an opalescent quality, shifting between pale silver and deep blue like captured starlight. Most striking were her eyes, ancient beyond measure, filled with a sadness that made Zara's chest ache just looking at them. "Child," the stranger spoke, her voice carrying harmonics that no human throat could produce. "I have been searching for you." Zara scrambled backward, the protein container clattering across the floor. "Look, lady, I don't know what you think. I took, but I can explain. You took nothing that was not already yours by right." The stranger stepped closer, and Zara noticed the dark stains spreading across her robes. Blood, but not red. This was silver, almost luminescent. "My name is Lyrelei Nightwhisper, last queen of the Thalen Empire, and you, Zara Vex, are my heir. I think you've got the wrong scavenger." Zara pressed herself against the cargo containers. "I'm nobody special, just a kid trying not to starve." Lyrelei's laugh was like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "The universe rarely chooses those who think themselves ready." She swayed slightly, pressing one hand to her side where the silver blood flow seemed heaviest. "Your mother, she was Thalan, cast out for loving a human, but royal blood flows true." The words hit Zara like a physical blow. She'd never known her parents, only vague memories of a woman with strange, beautiful songs and a man who smelled like engine grease. They'd died when she was 6, leaving her to the station's inadequate care systems. "That's impossible," Zara whispered. "Thylans are extinct. Everyone knows that. Nearly extinct." Lyrelei reached into her robes with trembling fingers. "The Crimson Syndicate has spent decades hunting us across the galaxy. They believe our technology, our knowledge, belongs to them. They are wrong." From within her robes, she withdrew something that made Zara's breath catch. It was a crystal, no larger than her fist, but it pulsed with inner light that seemed to contain entire galaxies. Patterns swirled within its depths, constellations, nebulae. The birth and death of stars compressed into living geometry. "The heart of eternity," Lyrelei said, holding the crystal toward Zara. "The last repository of Thalan knowledge and power. It has waited centuries for one worthy to carry its burden." Alarms began blaring somewhere in the distance, harsh mechanical shrieks that echoed through the station's corridors. Lyrelei's expression hardened, her alien features shifting into something fierce and terrible. "They've found me." She pressed the crystal into Zara's hands before the girl could protest. The moment it touched her skin, fire raced through her veins. The crystal dissolved like sugar in rain, flowing into her flesh, seeking her heart. "Accept it, child. Let it become part of you, or we both die here. The transformation was agony and ecstasy woven together. Zara felt her consciousness expand, touching vast databases of information that spanned millennia. She saw the rise and fall of empires, witnessed the birth of technologies that could reshape reality itself. And underneath it all, she felt something else awakening, power that had slumbered in her blood, waiting for this moment. The cargo bay's main entrance exploded inward. Armed figures in crimson armor poured through the breach, weapons raised, and scanning for targets. Their leader, a man with cybernetic implants covering half his face, stepped forward with casual arrogance. "Lyrally Night Whisper," he called out, his voice distorted by vocal modulators. "By order of the Crimson Syndicate, you will surrender the Heart of Eternity and submit to interrogation." The Queen rose with fluid grace, despite her wounds. "Commander Thorn Blackwater," she replied, and even dying, she made his name sound like a curse. "Still hunting ghosts, I see. The only ghost here will be you." Thorn raised his weapon, some kind of energy rifle that hummed with malevolent power. "Where is the heart?" Lyrally smiled, and Zara saw starlight dancing in her eyes. "Closer than you know." The Queen moved faster than human perception could follow. Energy erupted from her hands, not the controlled technology Zara had expected, but raw cosmic force that turned the air itself into plasma. Two of Thorn's soldiers simply ceased to exist, their armor melting like wax in a furnace. But Lyrily was dying, her power burning through what little life remained in her body. More soldiers flooded into the cargo bay, their weapons tracking her movement. She danced between their shots with desperate grace, buying precious seconds for the transformation within Zara to complete. "The child," Thorn barked to his remaining troops. "Take her alive, she may know something." That was his mistake. Lyrile's eyes blazed with fury that could have ignited suns. "You will not touch her." The Queen's final act was not gentle. She gathered every remaining fragment of her power, every spark of cosmic energy that had once made her people masters of the galaxy, and released it in a wave of pure destruction. The cargo bay filled with light that transcended the visible spectrum, and when it faded, nothing remained of Thorn's soldiers but shadows burned into the walls. Commander Thorn himself lay sprawled against a bulkhead, his armor cracked and sparking. He was alive, but barely, his cybernetic implants flickering as they struggled to maintain his life functions. Lyrily collapsed to her knees, her opalescent skin now pale as moonlight. She looked at Zara with eyes that were already growing dim. "The power is yours now," she whispered. "Use it wisely. Trust no one completely, but do not let fear make you cruel." Her hand reached out, trembling, to touch Zara's cheek. "Your parents would be proud." The light faded from her eyes like stars going out at dawn. Lyrily Night Whisper, last queen of the Thalen Empire, died as she had lived, protecting those she loved from the darkness that sought to consume them. Zara knelt beside the body, tears streaming down her face. The crystal's power thrummed in her chest, vast and terrifying and utterly alien. She could feel knowledge flowing through her mind, star charts, weapon schematics, the locations of hidden Thalen facilities scattered across the galaxy. And, underneath it all, a growing certainty that her life as a simple scavenger was over. Commander Thorn stirred, his remaining eye focusing on her with mechanical precision. "You," he rasped through damaged vocal cords. "What did she do to you?" Zara looked down at him, and for the first time in her life she felt truly dangerous. "She made me something you can't control," she said quietly. Then she turned and walked away, leaving him broken among the ruins of his ambition. The universe had chosen its heir, and nothing would ever be the same. The awakening storm 3 days had passed since Lyrile's death, and Zara Vex was beginning to understand that inheriting cosmic power came with cosmic-sized problems. The heart of eternity pulsed beneath her ribs like a second heartbeat, feeding her fragments of knowledge she didn't want and couldn't ignore. Thalen star charts burned behind her eyelids when she tried to sleep, Ancient weapon blueprints whispered seductively in languages that predated human civilization. And then there was Pip. "You're glowing again," the maintenance droid observed, his optical sensors whirring as they focused on the faint luminescence emanating from Zara's skin. Pip had been her only companion since she'd fled the cargo bay, a battered repair unit she'd salvaged from a scrapyard years ago. His personality matrix was corrupted, giving him the demeanor of a perpetually worried grandfather trapped in a cylindrical metal body. "I'm not glowing," Zara muttered, though she could see the soft blue radiance reflected in the polished surface of their stolen shuttle's hull. "It's just ambient energy discharge." "That's glowing, dear," Pip replied, patiently, "and getting brighter. At this rate, you'll be visible from orbit by next Tuesday." They were hiding in the Kepler debris field, a vast graveyard of destroyed starships that stretched between two dead systems. It was the perfect place to disappear. Too dangerous for most scavengers, too worthless for corporate interest. The shuttle they'd commandeered was a basic transport, barely equipped for extended flight, but it had gotten them away from Station Nexus 7 before Commander Thorne's reinforcements arrived. "The crystal's trying to tell me something," Zara said, pressing her palm against her chest where the heart of eternity had merged with her flesh. "There's a pull, like it wants me to go somewhere specific." "Pulls are generally best ignored, in my experience," Pip said, extending a manipulator arm to adjust their course slightly. "They tend to lead to unpleasant situations involving explosions and existential dread." Before Zara could respond, every system on the shuttle began screaming, at once. Proximity alarms, radiation warnings, and threat assessments cascaded across the display in a symphony of panic. Through the viewport, something massive was emerging from the debris field's heart. A ship unlike anything in Zara's stolen memories. It was beautiful and terrible, its hull flowing like liquid metal frozen in motion. Spires twisted upward from its central mass covered in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The vessel was easily a kilometer long, dwarfing their tiny shuttle, and it was moving toward them with predatory grace. "That's not human," Pip observed with admirable understatement. "It's Thalon," Zara breathed, recognizing the elegant curves and impossible geometries from the knowledge flooding her mind. "An ancient one, a ship from before their empire fell." The vessel's approach triggered something deep within the heart of eternity. Pain lanced through Zara's chest as the crystal responded to its presence, sending tendrils of energy through her nervous system. Her vision blurred, then cleared with supernatural sharpness. She could see every detail of the approaching ship, could sense the vast intelligence that guided it. "Welcome, heir of stars," a voice spoke directly into her mind. Not words, but pure meaning that bypassed her ears entirely. "I am Whisper of Stars, guardian of the final archive. You carry the heart. You are expected." A tractor beam, invisible but inexorable, caught their shuttle and drew it toward an opening that dilated in the ship's hull like a blooming flower. Zara wanted to resist, to flee, but the crystal in her chest sang with recognition and longing. This was what it had been pulling her toward. "Pip," she said quietly as their shuttle settled into a docking bay that could have held a dozen vessels their size. "I think we're about to get answers to questions we didn't know we should ask." "I hate those kinds of answers," the droid replied. But he powered down the shuttle's systems and extended his sensor array. "Atmosphere is breathable for humans. Gravity is standard. No immediate threats detected, though I should mention that my threat assessment protocols were designed for broken heating units and leaky pipes, not ancient alien death ships." The docking bay's atmosphere shimmered, and a section of the far wall simply wasn't there anymore. Beyond lay a corridor that stretched into blue-lit infinity, its walls covered in flowing script that seemed to move when she wasn't looking directly at it. Zara stepped off the shuttle, Pip trailing behind, on his repulsor units. The moment her feet touched the deck, the ship responded. Lights brightened along the corridor, and she felt something vast and ancient focusing its attention on her. "You are smaller than expected," Whisper of Stars observed, "and younger. The heart chose. Interestingly." "Everyone keeps saying that," Zara muttered. Maybe next time the universe could pick someone with a pilot's license and a basic understanding of galactic politics. Perhaps, the ship's consciousness replied, and she could sense something like amusement in its mental voice. But the heart does not choose the prepared. It chooses the necessary. The corridor led to a chamber that defied physics. The walls curved, impossibly, creating spaces that seemed larger inside than outside. In the center, a crystalline tree grew from floor to ceiling, its branches heavy with fruits of pure light. Each fruit contained what looked like a star, burning with miniature intensity. The final archive, Whisper of Stars explained as Zara approached the tree with reverence. Every Thalon who ever lived contributed a fragment of their knowledge before death. Their wisdom, their discoveries, their warnings. All preserved here, waiting for one worthy to inherit it. "And you think I'm worthy?" Zara asked, though she was already reaching toward one of the light fruits drawn by an irresistible compulsion. "The heart thinks you are worthy. I am merely its guardian." The moment Zara's fingers touched the crystalline fruit, the universe exploded inside her mind. She saw the rise of the Thalon Empire, watched them spread across 1,000 worlds, witnessed their mastery of technologies that could reshape reality itself. She saw their eventual downfall too, betrayed by those they had tried to help, hunted by enemies who feared their power, scattered across the galaxy until only echoes remained. But she also saw something else, a pattern in the chaos, a design that spanned millennia. The Thalons hadn't simply built an empire. They had been preparing for something that was coming. "The Void Seekers," she whispered, the words torn from her lips by revelation. "They're not myth. They're real, and they're coming back." "Yes," Whisper of Stars confirmed. "The Devourers from beyond the galactic rim. They consumed entire star systems before turning them into empty space. The Thalons fought them once, drove them back, but that was 10,000 years ago. Now they return, and the galaxy is unprepared." More knowledge flooded through her. The Void Seekers were entities of pure hunger, creatures that existed in the spaces between space. They fed on the fundamental forces that held reality together, leaving nothing but emptiness in their wake. The Thalon Empire had been humanity's shield against them, and now that shield was broken. "How long?" Zara asked, though she dreaded the answer. "The first scouts have already reached the outer rim. 3 years, perhaps 4, before the main force arrives. Without the Thalon fleet, without their weapons and knowledge, the galaxy will fall." "But I'm just one person," Zara protested. "I can't rebuild an entire empire in 3 years. "No," the ship agreed. "But you can awaken what sleeps. Hidden throughout the galaxy are Thalon facilities sealed since the Empire's fall, ships in stasis, weapons that could shatter planets, technologies that could turn the tide. The heart can unlock them all, but only in the hands of a true heir." Pip rolled forward, his sensors focused on Zara with obvious concern. "Your vital signs are spiking, dear. Perhaps we should discuss cosmic responsibility after you've had a proper meal and some rest?" But Zara was already moving, driven by newfound purpose. The knowledge in her mind was organizing itself, creating lists of priorities and strategic objectives. There were 13 major Thalon facilities scattered across known space, each one a potential game-changer in the coming war. "Whisper of Stars," she said, her voice carrying a new authority that surprised even her. "Can you take us to the nearest facility? I am yours to command, Heir of Stars. But know this: others seek the Thalon legacy as well. The Crimson Syndicate was merely the first. Word of your awakening will spread, and every power in the galaxy will want to control or destroy you." "Let them come," Zara replied, surprised by her own conviction. The heart of eternity pulsed in her chest, synchronizing with the ship's vast systems. She could feel Whisper of Stars responding to her presence, ancient weapons powering up, shields strengthening. "I've got a universe to save, and anyone who gets in my way is about to discover why the Thalons were feared across the galaxy." "Then we begin," the ship declared, and the stars outside shifted as it turned toward their first destination. But remember, young heir, power without wisdom is the path to becoming what you fight against. The heart chose you not for your strength, but for your compassion. Do not lose that in the trials ahead. As they accelerated into hyperspace, Zara felt the weight of destiny settling on her shoulders. 3 years to prepare for a war that could end everything. 3 years to unlock the secrets of a dead empire and forge them into humanity's salvation. She looked down at her hands, watching the soft blue glow that emanated from her skin. Lyra Ley had been right. The universe rarely chose those who thought themselves ready. But perhaps that was exactly what it needed. Someone too young to know it was impossible, too stubborn to give up, and too desperate to fail. "Pip," she said, quietly, "I think our quiet life of scavenging just got a lot more complicated." "Understatement of the millennium, dear," the droid replied. "But if you're determined to save the universe, I suppose someone needs to keep you properly maintained. Your nutrition levels are still deplorable. Despite everything, the cosmic power, the approaching darkness, the weight of worlds on her shoulders." Zara found herself smiling. She might be the last hope of the galaxy, but at least she wouldn't face the darkness alone. The heart of eternity pulsed with warm approval, and for the first time since Lyra Ley's death, Zara felt something like hope.